So hello everybody. I'm sorry, I will speak in English. I'm not able to speak in Spanish, but English is not my native language, so it will be normally easy to follow and to understand. So is the translation okay for everybody? See? Okay, so I will talk about the critical steps where oxygen management is important to consider in the winemaking process. So as it was already shown before, oxygen is very important for the winemaking, but there is two aspects. Oxygen can make the wine due to color stabilization, astringency evolution, etc. And to avoid reduction, as we said before. But too much oxygen can break the wine too, leading to oxidation and to color evolution, etc. So, and oxygen can favorize the growth of microorganisms, so it's good for fermentation, but it's bad in case of Brettanomyces, for example, leading to off flavor in the wine. About oxygen, there is some key numbers I want to give you, just to understand the next of the presentation. So oxygen is a gas, but it can dissolve in the wine, okay, in the water too. And according to the nature of the gas, there is some ability to dissolve. And oxygen is not the best gas to dissolve in the wine because CO2 is very good for that, as you know, because during the fermentation, a lot of CO2 is produced and a lot stay in the wine, and CO2 has also a big role in the sensorial aspect of the wine. Okay. So oxygen at 20 degrees, we can dissolve around 9 ppm, 9 milligrams per liter of oxygen. And due to temperature, this number can vary, and especially at low temperature, as you can see here. So lower is the temperature, much oxygen you can dissolve in your wine, and it's very important, especially in some process. So another things to know is there is two distinct situations in the wine. So at the end, during the dynamic process, so for example, pumping, filtration, so wine is in movement and can be in contact with air. So normally, the dissolution of oxygen is higher than the kinetics of consumption. And during the static period, so basically storage, here normally the wine is protect against air because there is no contact or very small contact. So the kinetics of consumption, the consumption of oxygen is higher than the dissolution. And so you can see a decrease if you can measure oxygen. You see a decrease of dissolved oxygen in your wine. So here to present some numbers again about dissolution. Oxygen you can add in your wine according to some process. So it's data from Castellari in Italy. Especially you can see here you have some critical steps, and one is the cold stabilization because temperature is low, so we can dissolve a lot of oxygen, and often you have a movement of your wine, so you increase the effect. And bottling is too a critical step because at this step you can add a lot of oxygen, which is not the case in some other steps, even if sometimes because the process is not well managed, you can have some problem. Another thing is the addition of the steps during the process. And so from a wine after aging until the bottling, the end of the bottling, you can add a lot of oxygen. And even if in some step you don't add a lot of oxygen, at the end, the addition of all the steps can be very crucial and critical in terms of oxygen. So to manage oxygen, first we have to measure it. So Nomacork started to look for some oximeters in 2006, and we selected some. We do a validation with a research institute in France, the INRA, and from that we see that with the NomaSense, it was not the name, now it's the name, commercial name, but before it was not the name. With the NomaSense, we have a very good performances due to the technology I will detail after. And now, as Sebastian said, we have the new generation, and the new generation is from the feedback we had from the market, from the customers, from the research institute, to improve the capacity and the easiness to measure oxygen at the end. So NomaSense is based on the luminescence technology. So basically, the device emitted a blue light. The blue light will excite the sensor here, a membrane. And this membrane, due to the oxygen in contact with it, will emit some red light. And the time the red light go back to the device is dependent on the quantity of oxygen you have in your wine or in the air, in contact of the membrane. So it's a very easy technology, even if there is a lot of development behind that. And the beauty of this technology is it's very stable over time, so you don't have to calibrate it every day. And this membrane can be integrated in some different parts, especially at the end of a probe, for example, to measure in a tank or in a barrel. But you can integrate the sensor into a side glass, for example, to measure during the process and be sure where are the critical moments of oxygen addition. And you can add the sensor in a bottle or in a bagging box to measure after packaging, after bottling, conditioning. For example, in a bottle, it was already said, but you can measure dissolved oxygen, but you can also measure in the air. And so in here, in the headspace between the wine and the closure, the oxygen entrapped here. So now we can measure, we can go and through the different steps of winemaking to measure and then to manage oxygen. In some process, you need oxygen. So you have to control how much you put oxygen if everything is under control. So it's a step, for example, of crush fermentation, where you can measure if it's okay. For example, if your press working well, especially if you have an inert press, okay, under nitrogen, to be sure that it's still working fine. And you can use this device to measure the performance of some different machine, and so to do some selection of equipment before buying one. You can try and see if it's okay for you for your process. For maturation, it's important too to measure oxygen to control, but sure it will be presented in the next presentation about maturation. After bottling, it's important to control oxygen too, as we said, just to be sure that we keep the good redox potential and not to go to reduction or to oxidation, and be sure that the wine is okay. So for that, you can measure the ingress of oxygen you have through your closure, and also to measure the consistency of your closures, because it's good to have the oxygen ingress called OTR of your closure and to know it, but it's important to have the same for each closure you have on your bottles. But there is a part where it's important to control and to try to avoid oxygen. It's at the end of the winemaking, I would say, when the wine is ready because the aging was done in barrel or in tank or with micro-oxygenation, and between the conditioning. Because here, normally, because the wine is finished, you delivered already the quantity of oxygen you wanted to put in your wine to have a wine ready to drink or some potential to age after bottling. And there is no sense to add oxygen here, especially because after bottling, it's difficult to deoxygenate wine or to put sulfite to compensate the oxygenation you did. So here is some results. Now I will focus on bottling, and you will see that it's very easy to translate the oxygen management of bottling with the other steps like filtration or cold stabilization. So at bottling, we performed a lot of measurement on the field the last years. And here are the results we get, a summary of the results we get. So as you can see, we can have some very good bottling process adding less than 0.5 milligram per liter of oxygen, up to, in some cases, more than 10 milligram per liter of oxygen. And more than 10 because you have a part of oxygen dissolved of your wine and the part entrapped in the headspace. It's the addition, what we call TPO, total package oxygen. And if you have less than 2 ppm at bottling, we consider it's a good bottling, and a perfect bottling is lower than 1. It's the very low TPO here. And if you are higher than 4, it's becoming risky for the wine, especially for some fragile wines like the whites and the rosé. And if the bottling is not well managed, you have direct consequences, especially here on SO2. So according to the quantity of TPO you have on your wine, the drop of SO2 right after bottling will be different, and higher is the TPO, higher is the drop. And in some cases, the drop is too big that you have no more sulfite left in your wine to protect it. And so you start having big oxidation. And here it's an example. So in a wine without SO2, okay, so it's a Chardonnay without SO2, with 2 TPO, one a very good one, as you can see, 0.5 ppm, and one is, I would say, a medium one, 3 ppm. So it's the mean we can see over the audits we did on the field. But because you have no protection of SO2, these 3 ppm have a very big impact of the oxidation of the wine. You see, it's oxidized or honey, and so you lose all the fruity aromas, and you go to oxidation. Sorry. And with a low TPO, even if you have no SO2, because you put very small quantity of oxygen, you keep having, I would say, a good wine, because it was fruity and no big problem of oxidation or reduction. In the process, the quantity you add of oxygen you add during the process is not the same from the beginning to the end. And normally you have this kind of addition So you have a lot of oxygen addition at the beginning, then you have a stabilization of the pickup, and at the end, you have again a big quantities, an increase of oxygen at the end of the process. So here you can see the black line here is the oxygen, the dissolved oxygen in the tank at the end of the tank, monitor through a side glass. Okay, so you can follow that from the beginning to the end, and you see you have almost no oxygen. At the end, you have a little bit, and at the beginning you have a lot of oxygen because all your pipes and your machine are full of air. So this air will be mixed with the wine. So you will have in the first hectoliters of wine an addition of oxygen higher than normally. To avoid this first part, an easy thing to do is to inject nitrogen or an inert gas, could be CO2 too, in the pipes, and because you inject nitrogen, you have to know if it's inerted or not. So you have to measure it. So you can put a side glass, for example, here or here, and to monitor the quantity of oxygen into the pipes. And then when you arrive, I would say below 2% of oxygen, we can consider that you are protected enough against oxygen, and you can stop the injection and start the bottling. Okay, in this case, in 2 minutes, it was okay. But if you don't monitor, you don't know. So you put some nitrogen, you say, well, okay, now it's okay. But it's important to verify that. Then you have the end of the process. As you can see, it's because the wine, the dissolved oxygen in the wine increase. And why? Because during the process, the wine in the tank decrease, of course. And so you have to open the tank to put to have an entry of air. And if you have air, this air will be in contact with the surface of the wine, and then you will add oxygen in the first centimeters of the wine and add oxygen. So to avoid that, the best case is to put nitrogen or nitrogen CO2 during the process in the tank, and then you have no air going into the tank. This practice is not very expensive because you only replace 1 liter of wine by 1 liter of gas. And due to the price of the gas, at the end, the cost of this practice is €1 per hectoliter, roughly. So it's not so huge. And according to the wine you are bottling, you can choose different type of gas, because we are talking about oxygen, but CO2 is another very important gas in your wine. And so if you put nitrogen here, you can have some escape of CO2 from your wine into the gas, the nitrogen, and then having inconsistency, not due to oxygen, but due to CO2. So it's important to have the gas, the ratio of CO2 according to the quantity of CO2 you want to keep in your wine. So here you have the values. And then you have I would say the typical pickup of oxygen during the your process in the middle of the step. And here you can try to decrease this line to the bottom by different process. First one is to inert the bottle, because the bottle is full of air. So it's good to inert it, because during the bottling, the wine going into the bottle goes through a very small quantity along the glass, and there is a lot of exchange between the air and wine, and you can have some pickup of oxygen. So if you inert your bottle, you can increase improve the process and reduce up to 0.5, 0.6 milligram per liter of oxygen in your wine. So the gain is not nothing. And another important part is the headspace, because I didn't say before, but headspace, you maybe be careful during the slide, but headspace can be responsible of 50% of the oxygen in the bottle. So this very small volume compared to the wine, but in this small volume you can entrap a lot of oxygen because it's gas. Because it's gas, maybe it's some clarification. In 1 liter of wine, you can dissolve 9 ppm of oxygen, but in 1 liter of air, you have 270 milligrams of oxygen. So even if you have a small volume of air, you can have a lot of quantity of oxygen. And so this headspace, if you use closures, you can use vacuum. Normally it's a normal practice to decrease already, to have a big drop, a big improve of oxygen. And you can combine vacuum system and injection of CO2 to have a better practice and go up to 0, I would say, 0.2, 0.3 milligrams. So it's very good practice. And it's the same for the management of the screw cap. So screw cap, you have normally a bigger headspace, so you can have a lot of oxygen too. So without any practice of protection, you can add easily 3 milligrams of oxygen in your bottle. And if you put some practice of inerting, you can go up to 0.5 milligrams, so which is a good practice. If you have 0.5 in your headspace, 0.5 in your wine, you are at 1 ppm at TPO, which is very good. So in conclusion, oxygen has to be controlled during the winemaking. So the example was some step of fermentation, maturation, etc. But to be avoided at bottling steps, filtration, cold stabilization, and bottling. And so the U curve you see for the bottling process is the same you will have during filtration for the same from the same origin. So air in your pipes and then air in your tank. The first step to manage is to measure oxygen. So is the reason why now we distribute the NomaSense in the wine industry, is to be able to for the producer to measure oxygen during the process. Then to understand, because you can measure, you can understand where are the critical steps, so what I presented here, and then to fix and control that each time you do a process of bottling or filtration, you still are under control. So sorry for my bad English today. Hope it was okay, and thank you for your attention.